It sounds like you are cautioning the owner of godlikeproductions.com against giving full rein to freedom of speech. Is this correct?
He may do as he pleases and accept the consequences in the bigger picture.
What is your interpretation of the divine law, and how can I make peace with myself?
Knowing yourself and where you really are the two most important issues that you should be involved with. It is your task to find out. In fact, if someone gave you the correct answers, it would not mean a thing to you, for they would not be attached to you in a way they would if you would have found them yourself. If you find the answers to those, you have accomplished a huge part of your duty towards yourself. After that, your task would be living according to the divine law which is revealed to you after that stage until departure.
Are you familiar with the black nobility? I have traced and linked all ancient royal families of Europe and the Middle East still present to this day. I know their names and their connections to power, wealth, and influence across the world. I can even identify the very person who is the potential Antichrist. He has all the correct makings, a wonderful, benign young man who has yet to realize his full potentiality as a world leader. The black nobility love this young man. And lastly, are you a small part of the black nobility, insider?
The dark nobility is a faction which operates on their own. They have different truths which have been described in texts written by my ancestors. It is a much smaller group than most would claim, because the core is different to the, quote, outer walls. They are the ones which you all confuse with my kind and therefore direct the hate towards the wrong ones, as shown by some of the questions by the lesser intelligent. About the Antichrist. There are at this moment literally billions of Antichrists. I am not one. You will find them among Christians, Muslims, Jews, atheists, Satanists, agnostics, Buddhists, Hindus, etc. They don't need a leader to be more Antichrist. I have to make clear that the Christ has nothing to do with Jesus of Nazareth. That part was later fabricated.
Do you subscribe to the view that our dualistic reality provides excellent opportunities for souls to develop unconditional love, so they may transcend our dialectic universe, rather than escaping from it? Do you also believe in the law of balance and karma, allowing a soul to be king in one lifetime, a beggar in the next? If so, it doesn't really matter whether you're a member of the elite. It may be a unique experience on soul level, as unique as any role in society, as long as the soul progresses. Is the historian Lawrence Gardner a powerful member of the elite as Icke claims, or is he just an average guy with access to hidden information? Thanks for your communication, insider.
It is the task of every soul to accomplish that while in this human shape. There is a part that can be called escaping, which will be followed by transcending. If failing, reincarnation. However, the word, quote, love, is misunderstood. It is not meant to be the love in human terms which humans are enslaved by. That is the corrupt version of the real one. The divine law controls what is called karma, but it is much broader and, quote, harsher than people want to accept. Example, someone who gets cancer and dies a slow, painful death deserves it. That person is being corrected. It is for his own good. Sounds, quote, harsh. That's the way it works. Just because it comes across as negative in this realm does not mean it is negative in the big picture. What you are talking about, which is reincarnating into the opposite of your former life, there is no universal law which states that will definitely happen. Reincarnation is a fact though, but if you achieve your task there is no reincarnation, no need to experience all levels of life on earth, for they are mainly pointless to experience. Gardner is one of those persons who wants to be praised and recognized by the people, so he gets it in return for some favors. By that I mean spreading misinfo which here and there contain the facts, which hooks people. He was initiated in certain levels, but it is not as in-depth as one would think, including himself. He is clever though. He is a member of at least 6, quote, societies, although 3 of them are closely linked and could be seen as one, so 4 at least. But these have only as much power and control as you, the people, give them. People like Icke are giving them more power unknowingly. I am real.
Is this because Christians teach that individuals should be under the control of a God who is holy? Or should I say, one who judges right and wrong?
Christianity is about idolizing a human called Jesus of Nazareth first, which is an abomination. Christians teach what they have been told to teach by the ones they oppose. I can tell you who the 4 individuals were who wrote the Hebrew Old Testament and the exact date, if it suited me. Same about your New Testament, which was gathered by 6 people from 2 different areas.
Why do you choose to speak now?
Some of us have the task to do it within certain boundaries. How do you suppose certain knowledge and pastimes was suddenly there? Luck, chance, coincidence?
What is this divine law you talk about?
The divine law is the manifestation of the will of the superior one, which not only creates everything that exists within this universe, but also maintains, nourishes, balances, energizes and renews it. It also reigns in other realms, including the realm you originally belonged to.
Why do you manipulate this world?
I have answered this many times. It is our duty.
How do you know who is allowing you? Is your job given to you or taken by you?
Rituals have a purpose. If you were doing something which was not allowed or doing a task which was not given to you, you will suffer during these rituals. In your daily life you will notice it too. Emanations have many forms, and one who knows about these matters will have no trouble recognizing with whom he is dealing with and what the message is.
Are you a human being?
I am like you present in this human shape.
How is this knowledge gained? By hard work, or does it simply happen to one?
This has been answered by me in a previously. In short, you have the duty to quote, gain it. Temperance will lead you to the rightful place from where it all starts. Before this you must know yourself and what this place is, where most people go wrong. Otherwise your thoughts will be filled with error, which will lead to erroneous ways.
Do you know the purpose of your life? If so, how did you learn about it?
Yes. These matters are not passed on to you in detail by someone that actually will lead to the opposite of what needs to be achieved. Hence my way of answering. Understand this. You can be guided up to a certain point, and then it is up to you.
What can you tell us about Mohammed?
It is a quote, sin, to worship, idolize, praise humans who were part of this planet in any way, shape or form, including when talking and or writing about them. A human is corrupt while on this planet. Each and single one of them. A quote, death, does not change the personality one had and leave behind here. Do not feel it. Praise and prayers may only be offered to perfect beings. Muhammad was like Jesus, Moses, Abraham, Buddha, a human who was led to believe he was a Noah, or like mentioned earlier, quote, master of the game. It is very easy to make humans believe they are enlightened and know the truth, and then thinking it is their task to wake up others. He was used, and his legacy is still being used, to divide people, just like the other religions, ideologies, quote, philosophies. 2 of his closest assistants were servants of the bloodlines. One of his wives was 2. Bloodline servants were also assistants of Jesus, Buddha, Moses, name them all. After his death it was made sure by these 3 that his followers would be divided, which was the main thing Muhammad was told to be against. So Muslims who believe in separate streams of Islam are actually rebelling against their own, quote, prophet. And that would be pretty much all Muslims. The Quran has a core of truth, but it is floating in a sea of perversions, together with the other, quote, holy books. It was written by 4 individuals from 3, quote, countries, 1 being Western, 2 Middle Eastern.
Are you Antichrist?
Jesus of Nazareth is not the Christ, nor is anything I have said anti-Christ. The ones who claim the opposite are.
So, is a family where the children are naturally born with this ability to do visualization part of the, quote, bloodline?
No. In fact, someone who has no connections to these families whatsoever can have this ability too. This ability is there for everyone to receive. You have to dial in. It is being provided by the divine law to everything that searches for it. I tried to make this clear earlier. The blood, genes, etc. are not as important as they're seen. The physical realm is weak and it cannot affect the divine. Someone with no connections to the families can be affected by divinity in such a way that he could surpass anything the bloodlines ever could achieve combined. Certain individuals get born into the bloodlines to be able to reign over the people under certain circumstances. That is what the bloodline mainly is about.
To me, elite means those who place money before people or any real values at all. And those who hold office either because they can buy it or inherit it regardless of whether or not they are qualified.
You just skillfully described your kind, not mine.
Are you a Rothschild? Here is my question. Although petty in light of the many questions posed to you in this interview, why aren't any of the Rothschilds listed in Forbes' top 500 richest people?
If you listened closely, you would have not asked this question. The ones who are known in public are not in control. The Rothschilds are at the same level as your Knights Templar ancestors were. You shouldn't be proud that you are from that lineage, by the way. These known families, clans, societies are merely dancers to the tune. But to answer your question, no, I am not a Rothschild. Which family am I from? Most on godlikeproductions.com talk about the bloodlines who rule, yet they do not know who they are. They wrongly assume they are the Bushes, Clintons, Rothschilds, etc. because some theorists, quote, researched it and some, quote, insiders told them by providing evidence. I am from a ruling family whose name rarely has been mentioned in history. No one will even know who we are. Second, you accepting Forbes as a reliable source for these kind of lists shows you are easily manipulated and do not grasp what is happening.
Worthy. An interesting word. Are you expecting those of us who know about the world of polarity and try our best not to play the polarity game, to believe that we need to be worthy? In whose eyes? It can only be our own. Whatever happened to the idea that the universe is within us? Gaia and all other dimensional, quote, realities are illusions, no? So the prison is an illusion, right? P.S. baby, and by the way, we don't have free will on this planet. Perhaps you slip is showing?
Do you know who manufactured this new age nonsense you just promoted? If this prison is a, quote, true illusion, get out then right now, I dare you. It is not like in the movies. You play the victim part. You do not even accept you have free will, therefore you will always be ruled over, never prevail and deserve everything you get according to universal laws. I may be back tomorrow.
And if these beings you are dealing with are Lucifers?
Different beings have different characteristics, which makes it easy to identify them during rituals. If it was a, quote, malicious being guiding me, I would not be talking in the way I do. Someone who is led by, quote, malicious forces cannot utter or write certain words, phrases without it affecting him. The ones who are led by them also cannot accept hearing or reading certain things without getting overly mad and or aggressive. This is when, quote, malicious beings are present every time you cuss, talk negative, plot a scheme, get violent, utter lies, support murder, get sexually aroused, get afraid, get jealous, even laugh out loud, being overly joyful. They appear near you. 1, 2, 3, or more of them. Quote, malicious beings are from this realm. This is their home. You cannot hate them, for they are doing their task, their rightful duty, and it is connected to your behavior. Understand, you are the perpetrator, they react. They never instigate, you do. If you do hate them, you are missing an important part of the reality. Respect them up to a certain point. This will also show you are conscious about them, and that will be recognized. I say, quote, malicious, because they are not malicious. They only appear to you in your manufactured perception to be so. People are perpetrators who play the victim part.
Number 1, how does real consciousness interface with this prison? Number 2, what are the techniques to break the hold of the interface and, quote, free the consciousness?
Depends what is meant by real consciousness and interface. From where I stand, they could be almost the opposite of what you may mean. Real consciousness is what is provided to you when you are in tune with the mind of the universe, which operates according to the divine law. They are not the same like many are led to believe. This mind penetrates everything, it rules over everything, so if you would connect with it you may experience its unlimited power. No prison can confine this power, hence there will be an escape. You will be guided up to a certain point, yet most work is to be done by you. But that is just the beginning. Much work lies ahead concerning yourself. I have explained a few times as far as I am allowed to how to connect, at least how to start with it. It truly is up to you. I would hesitantly add that studying ancient texts will help, although a lot is filled with perversions and wrong translations, intentionally, but this only after a certain level of awakening. You will recognize and or remember the small parts which are true. If you are not on that level you will take parts of the perversions and or wrong translations as the truth and fail.
Care to tell us which it is? You some sort of good guy who gives up tools, or do you rule over us? Did you change your mind, or what?
Neutral means in the terms I used, neither negative nor positive, merely providing the tools you can choose to use as you wish. You are the perpetrator. Or would you say I control every aspect of your life, every hour, every minute, every second, and force you what to think, say, do? Do not be mad at the wrong individual.
Is it necessary to know why we are here to escape, or just work out where we are? Are the answers to be found, quote, inside, or by, quote, joining societies, or by appealing to divine intervention, or all three, or none?
It is necessary to have a view of the whole spectrum. When it is partial it will be like looking through the window while it is partially covered with a curtain. You do not know what is behind the covered part, therefore cannot act accordingly. What covers the whole spectrum? Understand this place, what and where it is, know what you are, how you came here, why you came here, how to return. Prepare yourself for the answers, cleanse yourself, reach out for the mind, speak within, quote, without, that you are ready, live strictly according to the answers. Do not join, quote, secret societies, never, whatever the circumstances are. Also no religions, including the New Age. Do not accept human gurus, prophets, priests, rabbis, imams, popes, fortune tellers, quote, mediums, Dalai Lamas, politicians, authors, scientists, quote, celebrities, parents, etc. as legitimate authority on divine matters. On other matters it is your choice to accept or decline. However, accept the consequence. You only need yourself and the divine. No intervention by others in bodies. Again, no intervention by anybody. If your father asks you for a glass of water to show if you care for him and are disciplined, do you bring it directly to him, or do you take the glass of water to your neighbor and ask him to tell you what it is that your father really asked, while the neighbor did not hear it and now is drinking that glass of water himself? Am I also a neighbor? I have not touched the glass of water. I opened the door and told you to go back to your father. No one has offended me. People offend themselves. I would be offended if what I say was against the one, and if it is, I shall pay. I answer the questions I am asked and say as much as time allows me. Sometimes I skip a question because it has been answered. Other times the question is irrelevant.
What are your comments on this era?
This era is counterproductive to you personally in the long run.
What are your comments on Planet X?
Planet X does not exist anymore, like so many planets, moons, stars, galaxies. Their demise, however, always brings forth something, which means they never stop being part of the whole, playing their part.
What are your comments on the pole shift?
It happened 2 times to my knowledge, in the second and third era. If necessary, it will be done again.
What are your comments on the second coming?
You returning back to where you belong after you have succeeded, which means the second coming cannot take place on earth, for you do not belong here. People who are waiting for a, quote, savior on earth to do all the work for them are all failing. I have noticed some Christians have gotten angry and are attacking me on a personal level by damning me. It is their choice. I talked more about Christianity than other religions because the questions gave room for that. I would say and have said similar things about the other religions and ideologies when asked about them.
What interests me is this. If someone takes the time and trouble to follow up the leads and clues left in numerous books and legends and sorts out the wheat from the chaff, what then if that person puts into practice what they have learned? Do they come closer to the truth that the bloodlines evidently have access to?
Yes. Again, the bloodline is only important for ruling over people. It is not about having a special power that makes one more aware, although the knowledge is being passed on, so therefore it appears like that. But this knowledge is not hidden. The truth cannot be hidden. It wants to be known by you, inviting you every moment of your life. That is the reason why it, through the ruling powers, is being provided to you, accompanied with perversions, corrupt additions, to confuse and make you accept the latter. There is not one written book which contains the truth and nothing but the truth. Pick it out and live accordingly to it, incorporate it into every aspect of your life. That is the hardest part for people, if you have to float above this physical material world while being in the body that dictates the opposite.
How close to the truth are the writings of Neil Donald Walsh in his Conversations with God series? Are you in any way related to the bird tribes mentioned in Ken Carey's Starseed Millennium books? Is there much truth in the writings of Sheldon Needle of www.powweb.com?
The Native Americans have preserved knowledge successfully, but nowadays, the last century or so, it is being presented in an erroneous fashion. Integration is quote working. About the authors mentioned, like I mentioned before, it is not in your interest to accept human intervention, advisors, salesmen between you and the divine. They may say certain things which are true, yet it will never be complete.
No one on this earth has the power to, quote, free any of us. No one outside this earth sees a reason to free any of us. The divine source itself, if there is such a thing, is waiting for us to free our own selves, individually. There will be no, quote, mass ascension, no, quote, mass enlightenment, and, quote, we the people have all been duped by, quote, we the people, into prolonging our sentence here. We can stay here in this place for eternity if that is our choice, and we have created a belief system that allows us to do so.
I will leave out the sentences, quote, no one outside this earth sees a reason to free any of us, and, quote, if there is such a thing. About the first sentence, there was a time when there were beings who had the power to do it, but that was not their task. And the divine sources, there is no, quote, waiting, quote, wanting, etc. You are on the way, but living it is an important part of the task.
And by divine law, Christ was sent here to correct the situation.
Yes, but Christ did not descend into the body of a human called Jesus of Nazareth 2014 years ago on March 20th, almost 2 hours before sunrise, which is the secret time of birth of your, quote, Son of God, the Christ, which has a different, quote, real name, but I will use this name here, appeared once, just once, and this was in another era, not even close to our era where Jesus of Nazareth also lived in. Do you know who keeps the knowledge about the real Christ alive? And do you know who keeps the knowledge about the fake Christs alive? The opposite of what you are thinking.
Why do all elitists worship Lucifer, the liar and deceiver?
Billions of people on this planet are serving their own corrupt material, physical, mental, emotional desires. Are they all elitist?
Is there currently a family feud between the, quote, higher beings?
The higher beings are not in physical bodies. They have no, quote, feuds. They are not under the control of this realm, therefore cannot suffer from this. You are referring to human bloodlines, and I reckon it is pretty obvious from what I have been writing here what the answer to your question is. There always have been some who do not do their duty. I am from a minority. People do not see a difference between the factions.